I read about J.K., knew of his family and everything. Used to buy things from his granddad. Bought my first ball glove from his granddad when they strung them across the window on strings and you picked them out. My dad went with me, and it was exciting. And my dad let me try several gloves, and he finally said, "Which one do you want?" I told him right there. And he looked at me disgusted, and he said, "Yeah, you would pick the most expensive one." I didn't even know what they cost, but that seemed to be what I did at times. But I have a great connection with the Hunter family. And I didn't really realize how good a career you and Tommy McClintock had in college until I read about it. Congratulations for that. I'm going to ask his sons to come up and speak whatever they choose to do, I guess, right? So, gentlemen, if you guys would come up and introduce your dad. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I apologize. Gentlemen and ladies. I apologize.
Hello, everybody. My name is Colin.
Hold on. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I'm Morgan. I'm daughter. Not so. We are excited to be here tonight to introduce our father, Jack, or as you know him around here, JK. First, we would like to take a minute to thank our dad. He has done nothing but support us every day. He has been there for us no matter what, even if he didn't fully understand or agree with what was going on. His love for us is something that can never be questioned. It is because of him that we have been able to go out on our own journeys and know that we will be okay. We will be forever grateful for everything he has done for us and still does to this day.
It was also because of him that we played, fell in love with, and worked so hard at baseball and softball. After all, he always told us how good of a player he was back in the day, but I still think that we were always just a little bit better than him, but who's to say?
Of course, sometimes we didn't believe his crazy stories, so he showed us many videos of him playing at Berkeley Springs and at Concord.
And if any of you knew who our grandmother was, Linda Hunter, she had a lot of videos. But I guess him being inducted in the Berkeley Springs High School Hall of Fame proves everything he has said over the years.
While at Berkeley Springs High School, Dad earned 3 letters in baseball and 4 in golf. He was also named the 1988 Senior Male Scholar Athlete.
And on the baseball field, he left the school with 5 school records that still stand today, including 54 RBIs his senior year, which led the state, not 49 RBIs. He was part of the 1985 state runner-up team, and he was twice named both the Journal All-Area team and the Potomac Valley Conference team, as well as earning state honorable mention twice.
On the golf course, he played in the state tournament 2 times and earned all PVC 2 times. After high school, he played baseball at Concord University, where he was a 4-year letterman, a 3-time All-WVIAC selection, and a 2-time runner-up for Conference Player of the Year. While there, he left with 4 school records.
We are proud of him for this awesome accomplishment and want to thank him for being an example to us on how to work hard to accomplish our goals while giving us the space to figure it out on our own.
We are excited to introduce our dad, Jack Hunter.
You guys did okay. Thank you all for coming up. I think they were more nervous than I was to come up here, but I appreciate you coming up here even though you had a little bit of fun at my expense. I love you both, and yes, by the way, they were both, it's for me to say, they were both much better players on the ball field than I could have ever imagined. We'll talk more about that in a minute. This is a little more overwhelming for me than I thought it was going to be. It's certainly an honor to be selected into the Berkeley Springs High School Hall of Fame along with all of the other great athletes who have competed on our fields over the years. Thank you to Coach Rowland and the committee for putting tonight together, as well as for those who voted for this to think that I deserve to be here. I appreciate all of you. Congratulations to my fellow inductees. Some of you I've known, some of you I just met, but either way, the accomplishments of all of these great athletes are phenomenal, easy for me to say, and I'm honored to be part of this class. Standing up here tonight is very special for me, but while I'm honored to have been selected, the reason tonight is special for me is because of the people that I've had in my life that have helped me get to this point at age 54 and still be, in a pretty good place in life. I'm excited to be able to honor those who have helped me along the way. And for those of you who know me know I could probably stand up here and talk for 45 minutes or an hour. But John told me that's how long he was going to talk later, so I had to keep it a little shorter than that. And I promise it won't be that long. Tonight is special because I had the opportunity to introduce Davey Cave. I don't need to say more than I already did about him, but when you remember a kid that you coached nearly 30 years ago because of how hard he worked, how gifted he was, and because of that infectious smile that he had, you know he made an impact, and he probably made an impact on many others as well. Tonight is also special to me because I get to walk through the doors of the Hall of Fame with my best friend, Tommy McClintock. We started playing baseball together when we were 9 years old, and we played on the same team for the next 13 years until we walked off the field after our senior season at Concord University for our final game. We even managed to play a little bit of softball after that, but that wasn't nearly as good as when we were on the baseball field. There are many, many stories I could share about Tommy, and not a one of them he's going to like. Or believe, probably. But nevertheless, I do have one I want to tell. So it's been noted a few times over the last few days that Tommy and I were the first three-time all-conference players at Concord. Well, he had a chance to be a four-time all-conference player, but got in a fight with a pile of dirt, and that cost him the opportunity to have the fourth all-conference selection. Let me tell you a little bit about what happened. We were at home playing, couldn't tell you who it was. Tommy was pitching, I was playing first base, and he made a pickoff move to first and overthrew me. Now to this day, he'll tell you that I missed it, but we had a 6'5" first baseman on the team who also would not have caught that ball, just to be clear. I chased the ball down the right field line, our right fielder came in, we got it back in, and I turn around and Tommy's down on his knee holding his left hand. Well, I come to find out that he was so mad at his throw that he punched the mound, the pile of dirt, and lost, unfortunately, broke his hand and was out for the rest of the season. So there is little doubt that if he would have not done that, he would have been a four-time all-conference player at Concord. Now that I think about it, I want to tell another story. This one's pretty quick too. So when Tommy made the illustrious 11 in 1987, I guess, our senior year, I went with him to down to the photo shoot down in Martinsburg somewhere. And we were going through the list of players who were also on that team. And you may or may not remember, Tommy was a pretty fast kid. He could run with the best of them around. He won base running contests over the years, straight line, you could see his speed on the football field. But as we're going through the list, we come to this fellow many of you may have heard of at one point. His name's James Jett. James Jett was a standout football player and track star at Jefferson. During his senior year, he unofficially broke the national high school record for the 100-meter dash. Back then, whatever those metrics were, it wasn't allowed. Don't want to break that. It wasn't allowed because of the wind or whatever that was. But nevertheless, still ran a pretty good speed. Tommy asked me the question if I thought he could outrun James. I said, I don't know. He goes, should I challenge him to a race? I said, no. And that was kind of the end of that conversation, but we talk about that all the time. And to this day, because we talked about it this week, he still thinks he can outrun James Jett, who returned quite a few punts for touchdowns in the NFL. So I think we should see if we can get that race together. Anyway, Tommy's like a brother to me, and I can assure you that if it weren't for him being there every step of the way, I wouldn't be here today. There were many of us who were envious of his natural ability and athleticism, and all I wanted to do was be as good as he was on the baseball field, so I had to work my butt off to do that. Not sure I ever got there, but certainly the hard work has paid off to be here tonight. So Tommy, I love you, man, and thank you. Tonight is also special because Tommy and I get to represent the 1988 baseball team that will go down as one of the most prolific teams from a statistical standpoint in the school's history. That year we broke 15 school records, many of which still stand today. We were expected to win the state baseball tournament by whoever the experts might have been that year. We beat Jefferson, who was the AAA state champion twice that year. We beat Frankfort twice, who was the AAA state champion. We beat Martinsburg once. And it still, for me, stings to this day, 35 years later, that we weren't able to finish the job that year. But that was a fantastic team. I think one of those school records was, and if any of you know this gentleman, you'll understand, Derek Unger, I think, hit 35 batters that year, most of them intentionally. And I wish he was here to hear the joke, because he would laugh too, but I think that number's a little off, but if you know Derek, you may understand that. Tonight is special because I have the opportunity to share some thoughts about Coach Ronnie Clatterbuck. I was not able to be here when he tragically passed for his celebration of life, but Coach Clatterbuck was a unique individual for sure. He was someone who demanded that you gave your best. He didn't expect you to be the best, but he always expected you to put your best effort on the field at all times. He is a man who made an impact on me from our first day of of baseball rec hour, my freshman year, and continued to do so not only through high school but beyond. And if you knew Ronnie, he liked to talk, and rarely could you understand him. I played for him when he won his 300th game. I called him on the phone when he won his 400th game when he was coaching up at Paw Paw. And I said, "Hey coach, I wanted to congratulate you on your 400th victory." And he said, "Oh, thanks, I really appreciate you calling." And then we hung up about 20 minutes later, and I don't know that I said another word besides goodbye. So if you knew Ronnie, you knew that he could talk. But we certainly miss him too, and he's someone who had a big impact on me all the way to this day in some form or another. Another reason tonight is special for me because my second family from back in the day is here. Fred and Annadelle McClintock are back there somewhere. They're over there. Tommy's parents, they were my second parents. You could bet that if I wasn't at my house, I was over at their house. And as I look back, so many of the memories that were made back then were because of Fred and Annadelle, Tommy, Keith, and Brian. Probably the biggest memory that Annadelle may have, and I don't know that I want to say this because maybe she has not remembered it, but Brian, when he was 2 or 3 years old, I almost dropped him on his head. Can't tell if Annadelle's shaking her head or wondering if what the heck I'm talking about. The good news is I caught him by his feet, and his head only hit against my thigh, so it wasn't that bad. But I remember that like it was yesterday. By the way, Annadelle made the best sweet tea in town. But thank you, Fred and Annadelle, for letting me be part of your family over the years. And tonight is special because of my family. My Aunt Jean is back there, and I'm going to guess almost everybody in here knows her for some reason or another. If you don't, you will before you leave tonight, because she'll come say hello and introduce herself. One of the things that I didn't know before I moved back to town about a month ago was that she has become the mayor of Berkeley Springs. One of the things that I've come to enjoy quickly is going down to the farmer's market with her and just seeing everyone come to her like she is the mayor. She's got nicknames from everybody in town. They yell at her from across the block, and she's in her element with that, and it makes me really happy to see that. She and I share a strong bond. We have a small family overall. So when my mom died 9 years ago, it was a tough time for both of us, and we leaned on each other and became closer than we ever had been to that point. and have continued to grow even closer. So Miss Jean, I thank you for all you've done for me and the kids and the rest of our family. My kids, Morgan and Colin, my daughter, Morgan, and my son, sorry. Morgan could be a boy's name too, right? Thank you.
Who knows these things?
Okay, that's a different conversation. But I want to share how proud I am of these two. First of all, they were both fantastic ball players through the high school level, and both had multiple offers to play in college. They already know where I'm going with this. But they both made mature decisions, probably decisions, as much as I hate to admit it, that were best for them to not play after high school. Guys, I promise I'm almost over it. Give me another 5 years. And as proud as I was for the impact that they made at King's High School athletic program, baseball and softball programs, what I'm most proud of is the comments that I get from other parents, from coaches, from teachers about how kind they both are, how they will put someone ahead of them very quickly before they worry about themselves. They both have had moments of taking care of others when it wasn't necessary for them to do so. So when you hear those as a parent, those comments from someone else, not you just thinking they're that good, because we kind of think they're a couple of buttheads, but that's totally different. When you hear it from the other people who they're out in public with, it really means a lot. I love you guys. I look forward to watching you grow over the next 10 years. Morgan graduates from WVU next fall, and Colin's got a couple of years still ahead of him. So I love you guys, and good luck to you. My Uncle Jay is here. I want to make sure he's paying attention. First of all, he is a saint for many reasons, but he is a saint for marrying into this family about 50 years ago. If there is a level 2 saint, the fact that he's stayed around for nearly 50 years, he should be elevated to that. Our family can be a little crazy, even though we're pretty small. And I am so glad that he's been around all those years. Uncle Jay, I want to thank you for being an example to me for what it meant to work hard, to be a leader, to be responsible and accountable. Being raised by a single mother, having you in my life made a bigger impact than you know and than I can ever communicate, because I've tried. But I appreciate all you've ever done, and I'm glad you're here tonight, and thank you for everything today and going forward. And lastly, tonight is special because I know my mom is watching from heaven, and this would mean a whole heck of a lot more to her than it does to me. Everyone that I've talked about tonight, and so many others that I wasn't able to talk about, have played a big role in my life, but none bigger than her. My mom, Linda K. Hunter. You talk about a rock. That woman worked full-time as a dental hygienist in Winchester, nonetheless, a lot of those years before the 4-lane road was done. She was chasing side hustles before side hustles were even a thing. I'm sure there's at least a handful of you in here who bought Watkins Pepper from her at some point, if not all of you, maybe. And she was involved in the community, and all the while managed to raise a son who, if I do say so myself, turned out okay, and has become a pretty good father, which I guess my children confirmed earlier. I didn't write that, I promise. And husband as well. If you knew my mom, you know she never showed up to a game without a camera and a cowbell. And she usually had cowbells for others too. She gave me, let's see here, sorry. She encouraged me every day, but also kept me in check in her own way. She gave me a long leash, but clearly drew the line, which I knew better than to cross. She taught me to try to be the light in other people's lives because she was the light in so many. Thank you, Linda K. Hunter, for being an awesome mom and an even better grandmother to Morgan and Colin. They love you very much to this day, and I know you love them, and I just wish that they had more time with her. Sorry, I have one more. I would lie. My wife, Kristen, is here. She's got a camera on me back there. While she wasn't around for the years that led up to today, she has been my rock for nearly 28 years and the leader of our family since Morgan was 2 minutes old. And tonight I want to correct an error that I made a long time ago and honestly about did it again. When I was the head golf professional at TPC River Highlands in Connecticut, I was fortunate enough to win the Connecticut PGA Section Merchandiser of the Year. And during that was in 2007, so 17 years ago. During my acceptance speech that night, I forgot to thank her, which she deserved more thanks than anybody else because that was the days of 6 and 7 day work weeks, 10 and 12 hour work days with 2 young children at home. She worked a full-time job, had to feed them, had to keep me in order and so forth. So while I have made it up to her since, Kristen, thank you for all you've been to our family ever since that day and everything you've done for. Once again, congratulations to all the inductees. Thank you to the committee. And thank you to my family and so many others that I couldn't include in this conversation tonight. Thank you.